What happens when a billionaire CEO who has spent years building an empire unexpectedly discovers he may have a son he never knew about? Harvey Sinclair, a man accustomed to power and control, finds himself haunted by a lullaby played by a young pianist named Nolan, a melody tied to a painful past he thought he had buried. As Harvey confronts the possibility of fatherhood and the hidden truths of his life, he faces skepticism and judgment from those around him. But when the truth comes to light, everything he thought he knew will be turned upside down. Stick around to see how this shocking revelation reshapes their lives forever. At a hotel bar, a billionaire CEO finds himself isolated in his thoughts, a whiskey in hand, seeking solace from the exhausting day spent in endless meetings and superficial conversations. The dim lighting and the soft clinking of glasses provide a brief refuge for Harvey, allowing him to momentarily escape the pressures of his corporate life. Just as he begins to relax, the sound of music drifts through the air, soft notes weaving their way into his consciousness, stirring something deep within him. The melody is hauntingly familiar, a careful arrangement that slips past the chatter of patrons, echoing memories he thought he had buried long ago. Harvey's expression tightens as he realizes what it is, the lullaby he composed during a poignant moment of loss, a song he had never shared with anyone. He had crafted it in the solitude of night, fingers dancing over piano keys in a life that feels like a distant memory. No one else could know this song. It belonged to a past filled with pain. Turning his gaze toward the piano, he spots the young pianist, barely in his 20s, dressed in a worn leather jacket. The musician plays effortlessly, fingers gliding over the keys with a familiarity that suggests this melody has been ingrained in him since childhood. Harvey's heart races as the pianist adds a subtle variation, a note that resonates with memories of Olivia, the woman who had once occupied his heart. The world around him fades, and all he can do is listen, caught between the present and the ghosts of his past. Compelled by an unexplainable urge, Harvey approaches the piano, maintaining a neutral demeanor despite the tempest of emotions swirling inside him. "That song," he begins, his voice steady but low. "Where did you learn it?" The young man looks up, surprised, then grins, clearly pleased to have caught the attention of someone he didn't expect to recognize his work. "I didn't think anyone would know it," he replies, tapping a playful rhythm against the piano bench. "My mom used to hum it when I was a kid. She said it was special." Harvey's heart skips a beat. Special? The word hangs heavily in the air as he presses further. "What's your mother's name?" The pianist, now intrigued, tilts his head slightly, a grin still on his face as he responds, "Nolan Daniels." The name strikes Harvey like a punch to the gut. Daniels. Olivia Daniels. Memories flood back of laughter, love, and loss. He forces a firm handshake, but inside, his thoughts spiral out of control. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Nolan remarks, his playful tone cutting through Harvey's internal chaos. Harvey lets out a breath, shaking his head slightly as he tries to regain his composure. "Just wasn't expecting that song," he replies. But the truth is, he's grappling with the weight of a past that refuses to stay hidden. Nolan's easy demeanor contrasts sharply with Harvey's inner turmoil, and for a moment, he's tempted to join in, to sit beside this young man and share in the music that has haunted him for so long. Instead, Harvey settles on the edge of the bar, watching as Nolan continues to play, each note a reminder of everything he lost. As the young man finishes, the atmosphere shifts, lively and carefree, and Harvey knows he must leave, but the melody lingers in his mind, stirring emotions he thought he had locked away. He walks out of the bar with the echoes of the lullaby still resonating, a haunting reminder of a life he wishes he could reclaim. As Harvey steps into the bustling day that follows his encounter with Nolan, the echoes of the lullaby continue to resonate in his mind. He can't shake the feeling that something significant has shifted within him. The connection to the melody, now tied to this young pianist, lingers like an unanswered question. He finds himself in a whirlwind of thoughts, each one leading back to the same haunting melody that had once brought him comfort. Determined to uncover the truth, Harvey reaches for his phone and calls his assistant, Rebecca. I need you to find out everything you can about Nolan Daniels, he instructs, his voice steady yet charged with urgency. Rebecca, ever efficient, agrees without hesitation, already anticipating the research ahead. As he hangs up, Harvey feels a mix of anxiety and anticipation, knowing that the answers he seeks could change everything. Later that day, Rebecca arrives at his penthouse with a neatly compiled report. She hands it over, her expression revealing nothing of the findings. As Harvey flips through the pages, he sees the details of Nolan's life unfold before him. His performances at local bars, his passion for music, and the modest life he shares with his mother, Olivia. Each fact adds another layer to the growing connection he feels toward Nolan, and the revelation that Olivia is still very much a part of this young man's life sends a jolt through him. She owns an art studio downtown. Rebecca summarizes, her tone as professional as ever. Harvey's mind races back to memories of Olivia, her hands stained with paint, her laughter filling the air the way she had always made him feel alive. He swallows hard, the weight of nostalgia pressing down on him. What about their financial situation? He asks, trying to keep his voice steady. Rebecca continues, they're comfortable, but not wealthy. Harvey sets the file down, a sense of determination washing over him. He needs to see Olivia to understand the choices that led them here, to confront the past that has resurfaced in such an unexpected way. He remembers the gallery, the bright colors and bold strokes that had always characterized her work, and he knows he must go. As he walks toward the gallery, the bustling streets of the city blur past him, but his thoughts are focused solely on what he will say to Olivia. The gallery stands as a testament to her talent, nestled between a quaint cafe and a cozy bookstore. The familiar scent of paint and varnish hits him as he steps inside, memories flooding back with every step. Olivia is at the far end, adjusting a canvas with the same quiet confidence that had drawn him to her all those years ago. When she finally notices him, there is no gasp of surprise. No stumble, just a composed tilt of her head, studying him as if assessing the years that have passed. Well, the billionaire returns, she says, leaning against the table, her arms crossed. Should I be flattered or worried? That depends, Harvey replies, a smirk tugging at his lips. Are you still angry at me? She considers this, her brow furrowing slightly. I wouldn't call it anger, more like mild irritation with occasional moments of satisfaction when I remember I was right. The tension between them crackles with unspoken history. He takes a breath, the air thick with the weight of their past. I assume you didn't come here just to reminisce, she states, her tone shifting to something more serious. What do you want, Harvey? The question hangs in the air, and he knows he must tread carefully. Nolan, he begins, watching her face for any sign of recognition. A flicker passes through her expression, an acknowledgement of something inevitable. He played a song last night. My song. Olivia's reaction is immediate, a subtle tightening of her jaw. I know, she admits, the weight of her words settling between them. Harvey's heart races as he searches her face, desperate for clarity. Did you tell him where it came from? No, she responds, rubbing her forehead, a sign of the stress this conversation has brought. I never told him about you, Harvey, not by name. I just hummed it when he was a baby. It soothed him. I didn't think much of it. He studies her, trying to decipher the emotions dancing behind her calm exterior. Is he mine? The question slips out, raw and unfiltered. Olivia's silence speaks volumes, but she finally confirms. I told you I was pregnant before we split. The confession feels like a punch to the gut, and Harvey's mind races with memories, moments he thought he had moved past, feelings he believed were buried forever. Just then, a voice calls from the doorway, breaking the tension. Mom, do you know where? Nolan stops mid-sentence, confusion flickering across his face as he takes in the scene. Harvey turns to face him fully, his heart pounding. This is the moment he had both anticipated and dreaded. He sees Nolan, the boy who could be his son, standing before him, a spitting image of a younger version of himself. Okay, so money. Because this whole vibe feels like a debt about to get collected, Nolan quips, attempting to lighten the mood. Your timing has always been terrible, Olivia mutters, her eyes darting between the two men. Nolan raises an eyebrow, clearly sensing the weight of the conversation. Wait, what's going on? Harvey steps forward, knowing he cannot hold back any longer. Nolan, I think I might be your father. The words hang in the air, a declaration that shifts everything. Nolan's initial laughter fades, replaced by confusion as he processes the gravity of what he just heard. As silence envelops them, Harvey's heart races. This is no longer just a chance encounter. This is the beginning of a reckoning. Harvey stands before Nolan, the weight of his revelation hanging heavily in the air. The room feels charged with tension as Nolan's expression shifts from confusion to disbelief. Wait, what? He finally stammers, his voice laced with skepticism. You're kidding, right? This is some kind of joke. Harvey meets his gaze, unwavering. No, it's not a joke. I know this is a lot to process, but I believe I might be your father. The words tumble out, raw and unfiltered, each syllable carrying the weight of years lost and emotions buried. Nolan's brow furrows as he glances at Olivia, searching for confirmation. Mom, seriously? You never mentioned any of this. The accusation hangs between them, and Olivia shifts uncomfortably, her arms crossed tight against her chest. I know, she replies, her voice steady but tinged with regret. I never told you, Nolan. I had to protect you from the past, from him. Protect me from what? Nolan retorts, frustration creeping into his tone. From knowing who my father is? From the truth? Harvey feels a knot tighten in his stomach. I had no idea you existed until recently, he explains, his voice steady. I heard a song you played, my lullaby, and it brought back everything I thought I had buried. Nolan blinks, processing the information. So, what? You just show up now and expect me to believe you? To just take your word for it? I understand how strange this is, Harvey replies, trying to keep his voice calm. But I want to be a part of your life if you'll let me. I want to know you. Why now? Nolan challenges, crossing his arms. Why not before? You could have reached out any time. Why wait until now? Harvey opens his mouth to respond, but the words feel stuck in his throat. He knows he has no good answer. I was caught up in my own world, he admits finally. I thought I was doing the right thing by focusing on my career, my empire. But it was a mistake, a huge one. Olivia's expression softens, but she remains guarded. Nolan deserves to know the truth, but that doesn't mean he needs you, she interjects, her protective instincts kicking in. He has a life, a good life. You can't just come in and disrupt everything. I'm not trying to disrupt anything, Harvey insists, his voice earnest. He looks to Nolan, searching for understanding. I just want a chance to be part of it. Nolan shakes his head, frustration etched on his face. You don't get to decide that for me. I'm not some project you can pick up after 20 years. The tension in the room thickens, and Harvey can feel the walls closing in. I realize I have no right to ask this of you, he says, his voice low. But I want to make amends, to be there for you if you'll let me. Nolan's eyes narrow, a mix of anger and confusion swirling within them. You want to be my dad now? Just because you feel guilty about the past? That's not how this works. I know, Harvey replies, feeling the weight of each word. But I'm ready to be here for you, to support you in whatever way you need. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance. Fine, Nolan says, his tone defiant but uncertain. But I need time to think about all of this. Harvey nods, accepting the reality of the situation. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. As Nolan turns to leave, he pauses, glancing back at Harvey with a hint of vulnerability. Just so you know, this is a lot to unpack. I get it, Harvey replies, watching as the young man walks away, the gravity of their conversation settling in. He knows this is just the beginning of a complicated journey, one that will require patience and understanding. Turning to Olivia, he sees a mixture of concern and hope in her eyes. You really think he'll come around? She asks softly. I hope so, Harvey replies, a sense of determination filling him. I'll do whatever it takes to show him that I'm serious about this. Olivia nods, still cautious but willing to consider the possibility. Just remember, he deserves honesty and respect. Don't make promises you can't keep. I won't, Harvey vows, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. This time, I want to be a part of his life, for real. As he leaves the gallery, the weight of uncertainty lingers, but so does a flicker of hope. He knows the road ahead will be challenging, but he is ready to face it head on, determined to forge a new path with his son, even if it means starting from square one. The next day, Harvey finds himself seated in his office, the atmosphere heavy with anticipation. He stares at the envelope resting on his desk, the DNA test results he had requested. Hours have passed since it arrived, but he hasn't summoned the courage to open it. Part of him is anxious, desperate to know, while another part is hesitant, afraid of what the answer might reveal. Finally, he reaches for the envelope, fingers trembling slightly as he tears it open. The contents spill out, and his eyes scan the document quickly, searching for the crucial line that will confirm or deny everything he has been grappling with. As he reads the results, disbelief washes over him. Not a match. The words echo in his mind, and the tension he had been holding in his chest doesn't ease as he had hoped. He had spent so much time believing that Nolan was his son, imagining what their relationship could be like, only to discover that it was all a figment of his longing. A strange hollowness settles in his chest, a mix of relief and disappointment that he can't quite articulate. He wanted to claim something, to make sense of the connection that had sparked between them, but now he has confirmation that Nolan was never his to begin with. Frustrated, he folds the letter and tucks it away in his desk, trying to process the wave of emotions crashing over him. He had thought that knowing the truth would bring clarity, but instead, it feels like another layer of confusion has been added. As he leans back in his chair, he is overwhelmed by regret, not just for the time lost, but for the relationship he had hoped to build. That evening, as he watches Nolan perform at a local venue, he feels the weight of his decision hanging over him. The atmosphere is electric, the crowd buzzing with excitement, but Harvey is lost in his thoughts, unable to fully engage in the moment. He sits among strangers, feeling the pull of the music, yet grappling with his own internal conflict. When Nolan takes the stage, he exudes a natural charisma, effortlessly commanding the audience's attention. Harvey watches with a mix of admiration and longing, recognizing the talent that flows through him. As the young man adjusts the microphone, he addresses the crowd. "This next song is personal," Nolan says, his voice steady. "It's a lullaby my mom used to hum when I was a kid. She always said it was written by someone she once loved, but she never told me his name." Harvey's breath catches as the realization sinks in. The song that had once belonged to him, a piece of his heart, is now a part of Nolan's life. The melody wraps around him, pulling him back through years he had fought to forget. It's surreal to hear something so intimately tied to his past brought to life by someone who knows nothing of its origins. As the last notes fade, the applause erupts, and Harvey can't help but feel a swell of pride. Nolan stands before the crowd, soaking in the appreciation, a grin spreading across his face. The moment feels bittersweet. Harvey is filled with warmth for the young man, but also an ache for the connection that could have been. After the show, Harvey waits near the entrance, watching as Nolan greets fans, shaking hands and laughing, the embodiment of youthful exuberance. When their eyes finally meet, Nolan strolls over, confidence radiating from him. "So," he says, crossing his arms, "did I impress the billionaire, or do I need to play something fancier next time?" Harvey chuckles, his heart lightening at the playful banter. "You did well," he replies, but he knows he needs to have a serious conversation. "I have an offer for you, Nolan." Nolan's interest peaks. "Oh? Are we talking free drinks, a private jet, or do I finally get that yacht?" Harvey shakes his head, a smile tugging at his lips. "No, that's more about your music. There's a gala coming up, an exclusive event filled with some of the most powerful people in the world. I can get you on stage." Nolan blinks, surprise etched on his face. "Seriously? You think I belong there?" "That's the point," Harvey insists, his tone earnest. "You have talent, but talent alone isn't enough. The right people need to hear you." Nolan studies him, skepticism flickering in his eyes. "Why do you care so much?" Caught off guard by the question, Harvey hesitates. He knows the answer is complicated, but he finally replies, "Let's just say I see potential in you." Nolan tilts his head, clearly unconvinced but intrigued. After a moment, he grins. Okay, but I have one condition. If I'm doing this, you have to play a duet with me. Harvey blinks, taken aback. What? I haven't played in years. Nolan shrugs, a mischievous smile on his face. Then you better start practicing. As they share a laugh, Harvey realizes that this unexpected turn of events has given him a chance to step into Nolan's world, to reconnect with the music that once meant so much to him. He had come looking for answers, but perhaps he had found something more, a way to bridge the gap between their lives, even if it meant confronting his own fears in the process. With determination surging within him, Harvey nods. All right, let's do it. He knows that no matter what the DNA test revealed, he is ready to embrace this new chapter, ready to be a part of Nolan's journey, wherever it may lead. The following days blur together as Harvey immerses himself in preparation for the gala. The prospect of performing alongside Nolan fills him with a mix of excitement and trepidation. In the small studio where they practice, the atmosphere is light, infused with laughter and music. Nolan's easy confidence contrasts sharply with Harvey's self-doubt, but the young pianist's relentless energy begins to chip away at Harvey's apprehensions. Come on, old man Billionaire, Nolan teases one afternoon, leaning back on the piano bench with a grin. You're looking like you're about to negotiate a hostile takeover instead of playing music. Harvey rolls his eyes, but can't suppress a smile. I'll have you know I used to be quite the prodigy, he retorts, flexing his fingers over the keys. Yet when he begins to play, the notes come out, stiff and hesitant, far from the fluidity he once commanded. Wow, that was terrible, Nolan says, feigning a dramatic wince. But hey, at least you're not boring. Harvey chuckles, the light banter easing some of the tension in his chest. Let's just run through the piece again, he suggests, determined to shake off the rust. As they practice, Harvey feels a strange sense of camaraderie developing between them. They joke, argue over technique, and eventually fall into a rhythm that feels both refreshing and unfamiliar. Nolan's passion for music reignites a spark in Harvey, one he thought had long been extinguished. One afternoon, while taking a break, Nolan pulls out his phone and starts playing music, the upbeat melodies filling the studio. Harvey can't help but tap his foot along, feeling lighter with each passing moment. This is not piano practice, he remarks, a hint of amusement in his voice. Sure it is, Nolan replies, waving at strangers outside the window. It's how you stop looking like a man who hasn't laughed in 20 years. As the days turn into a week, the anticipation for the gala builds. Harvey finds himself reflecting on the past, on the choices that brought him to this moment. He thinks about his career, the sacrifices he made, and the relationship he let slip away. But now, standing beside Nolan, he feels a sense of purpose emerging from the chaos. The night of the gala arrives, and Harvey's heart races as he steps into the grand ballroom, the opulence of the event overwhelming. Guests in elegant attire swirl around him, their laughter mingling with the clinking of glasses and the soft strains of background music. Yet, despite the glamour, all he can focus on is the stage where he and Nolan will soon perform. Nolan strides in beside him, exuding an effortless charm that captivates everyone he meets. You nervous? He asks, a teasing glint in his eyes. Me? I don't get nervous, Harvey replies, attempting to sound more composed than he feels. Nolan smirks, leaning closer. That's funny because you look like a guy about to give a speech at his own funeral. Harvey shakes his head, chuckling softly at the absurdity of it all. Just focus on the music, he insists, though he feels the pressure mounting. As the announcer takes the stage, Harvey's heart pounds in his chest. When he and Nolan are introduced, he feels all eyes on them as they walk onto the stage, the energy in the room palpable. They settle into their seats, and for a moment, the world outside fades away. When the music begins, Harvey is acutely aware of every note, every breath. At first, he is stiff, too focused on getting everything right. But as Nolan nudges him gently, a silent encouragement, something within Harvey clicks. The music takes over, and suddenly, it's not just a performance, it's a conversation between them, a shared experience that transcends words. As they play, Harvey loses himself in the rhythm, the melody enveloping him like a warm embrace. The audience fades into the background, and for the first time in years, he feels truly alive. The final notes hang in the air, and when the applause erupts, it feels like a celebration not just of their performance, but of the journey that has brought them to this moment. Nolan grins widely, clearly pleased with their performance, and as they step off the stage, the excitement crackling between them is electric. Not bad for an old man, huh? Nolan quips, clapping Harvey on the back. Don't get cocky, Harvey replies, his heart light. You were great out there. As they navigate through the crowd, Harvey feels a renewed sense of hope. He's no longer just a billionaire with a successful career. He's a man who has rediscovered a part of himself he thought was lost. Later, as they sit together, the energy of the evening still buzzing around them, Harvey finds himself reflecting on the future. If I ever had a son, I'd want it to be just like you, he admits, the words slipping out before he can stop them. Nolan raises an eyebrow, his expression turning playful. Well, you can always adopt me. I promise I won't ask for an allowance. Harvey chuckles, the warmth of the moment wrapping around him like a comforting blanket. He knows that no matter what the future holds, he is ready to embrace it. He has taken the first steps toward building a relationship with Nolan, and for the first time in a long time, he feels like he is exactly where he is meant to be. As they leave the venue, Harvey glances at Nolan, a sense of determination flooding him. No matter the challenges ahead, he is committed to being there for his son, ready to forge a new path together. With a heart full of hope, he steps into the night, ready to embrace whatever comes next.